Taking down the bureaucracy one email at a time. This is Weazel News with your host, Travis Rashgard.
Greetings, fellow passengers aboard the starship Los Santos. This week's top story: I finally got my interview with none other than the Los Santos Police Department's head of media relations, Belle Cavalera. Unfortunately, yet to no surprise, Miss Cavalera declined to be formally interviewed or recorded in any way. Quite frankly, I think it's a load of horseshit. It would seem that this head of media relations has no idea how to relate to the media. So I've taken the liberty of hiring a voice actor to dictate her responses. But rest assured, citizens, that our dictation is spot-on accurate, 100% verbatim. I wasn't allowed to film the interview either, so I'll have to replace the footage with B-roll. That's right, f***ing B-roll. So without any further ado, the most boring interview I've done so far. Miss Belle Cavalera, in the office, the elusive Belle. Thanks for joining us today. My first question, the city's first question, exactly how large is the LSPD Media Relations Department?
Hi, Travis. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Well, to tell you the truth, our Media Relations Department has only 3 members, including myself.
The entire department only has 3 members, you say? Can I find the information on these other 2 on the website?
Well, you may be able to find it for one of them. Their names are at the bottom of any public press release they are responsible for.
All right, so you're telling me that I essentially have to look at the press releases to find out who's in the press.
That is correct, Travis. There is no contact information for the others, as they are not qualified for external communication.
Yeah, I gathered that, seeing as though I spent the entire last week trying to figure out how the hell to get in touch with you guys. Now listen, why don't police officers give interviews on scene?
Well, that is for administrative reasons. Ideally, we would have enough certified individuals to have one present at every major scene, in which case we would be able to provide interviews right there.
So you're telling me that the LSPD, with its billion or so employees, if they were so inclined, has the ability to actually train people to do this?
Well, absolutely, Travis. I have done so myself.
Well, ma'am, I have to say that I'm shocked that more officers don't go for that position.
Well, Travis, you know, it's a lot of work.
I understand, ma'am. Work is hard. Now, the next button is a question. It's a hot button question. Wait, it's a question hot off the No, it's a hot button question. Ma'am, when a person is detained and arrested, why are their personal items stripped from them forever? I don't understand.
Well, it's unfortunate, but I can't force anyone. It all depends on where they go to jail. Department of Corrections has their own policies about what an arrestee may have on them, and we must remove any belongings that are not allowed prior to transferring them. If they are just being jailed at Mission Row, we have our own policies about what they can and cannot have on them. Generally, any illegal items are obviously taken, but also any items that could have posed a threat to someone are removed. This includes fishing rods, which are sharp, water bottles, which can be broken, knives, obviously, bobby pins, which could be used to break out.
Yeah, their stuff. You're talking about, their stuff.
When the items have been removed, the items are processed in the evidence room. Some officers make personal agreements to return the items to the people they arrest, but this is not our policy.
So basically you steal their shit.
I think DOC does return some items to people upon release, but they are not always personally available to do so. And then people call 911 and complain to us for some reason.
No shit, lady, imagine that. All right, Mrs. Cavalera, my next question is, why doesn't the LSPD issue its own video press releases regarding the larger busts in town? The people around here want to know what the hell's going on in their backyard, and I think they deserve it. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I absolutely agree, Travis. I've wanted to create press releases about larger situations, but there just aren't any writers. I personally don't have the time to write them, as I have 2 divisions to run, and also I have casework as a detective. But the other issue is how many situations we have.
You're referring, of course, to the sheer number of high violent incidents that occur in the city each day.
You might think that a murder is a big situation that we spend loads of time working on, but for us, it's something that happens daily, sometimes multiple times a day. Officer-involved shootings are a common thing, so we cannot really,
No, ma'am, I don't. Now listen, I have a stack of papers on my desk, the largest stack. The implication? Police officers, the entire department, excessive force deployed to chase down suspects. 1 or 2 at a time in a car chase, spending excessive amounts of time on that scene while people are getting robbed, while they're getting shook down, and while they're literally dying in the streets. We've got the entire force responding to call after call in 20-minute intervals involving as few as 1 suspect. Miss Cavalera, how do you rationalize this protocol?
Travis, as soon as a supervisor assesses the situation and deems that there is no imminent threat, everyone without a job on the scene is cleared.
The implication there being that there are many jobs to be had on scene?
There are two scenarios. Either it's just officers getting pumped on adrenaline and wanting to watch the action, which is an issue we have identified, and supervisors are actively telling units to drop when they are not needed. Otherwise, there is a good reason for it.
What's that you guys are all a bunch of sadists?
You see, many suspects will complain while getting arrested that we needed 9 or whatever number of officers to arrest them. A good reason for many officers on scene is that it discourages any unnecessary violence.
You mean any violence other than police violence?
Travis, say we just sent 3 officers to a dangerous situation. There's a much greater chance that the enemy will try to shoot the 3 officers than if we use overwhelming force. And if we can avoid having to shoot, that's the ideal situation. If having more officers on scene discourages the suspects to try to do something stupid, then we may be able to avoid that.
Miss Cavalera, I understand the use of shock and awe is the main deterrent for further escalation. Now, on to the next line of questioning. These questions have to do with Form C. I'm sure you're familiar with Form C.
Oh, of course, Travis.
Well then, Miss Cavalera, what's with the Gestapo bullshit anyway? Can't a brother have some privacy? I've heard that a person that files for a Form C is no longer subject to their own personal privacy. Their own home sanctuary is subject to police searches at any given time. They can be pulled over and searched without warrant. What's the deal?
Well, yes, Travis, that's the sacrifice they are making in order for being allowed to carry a gun again.
Ma'am, exactly how long after applying for a Form C does this invasion in privacy last?
I believe that for as long as they carry a license, once you're a murderer, essentially, you're always a murderer. And it's quite a privilege to ever be trusted with a gun license again.
So wait, lady, you're telling me that a murderer could file for a Form C and get his license to carry a gun?
Well, I believe murder is a bad example. Let me check the list. All right, Travis, so we have 3 forms, yes? Form A, Form B, and Form C. Form B is for people who have committed crimes that disqualify them from Form A. However, certain felony charges disqualify people from Form B.
That sounds confusing as hell.
Form C, however, allows you to obtain a license even if you have, for example, assaulted a police officer, or maybe you were convicted of stalking. Now, it's no secret that some people never change, and we would not want people to use their guns for anything of that sort. Murderers, for example, cannot apply through Form C. That was my mistake.
Your mistake indeed.
I believe the public should be confident that we are only issuing firearms licenses to responsible and good citizens, and the only way we ensure these people are truly reformed is by checking in with them.
The public? What does the public care about Form C? Lady, I think you missed the point. Anyways, I would really like to thank you for stopping by today. This has been a most excellent interview.
I appreciate you bringing to me the questions of the public. It's in our interest as well as yours.
Oh my God, somebody kill me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the news for this week. If you thought that was the dumbest interview ever given, I completely agree. If you'd like to see things change, make sure to reach out to your local LSPD representative and tell them to put in some goddamn effort the next time they give an interview. I'm Travis Rashgard, and this has been another report from Weazel News. Good night, citizens of Los Santos.